Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem HaRakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, great male son, and rule and shalom to all the brothers who know certain truth. Um, yeah, had in the UK here, like I think it's similar with in the US, where more or less the whole kind of like tapered off end of the tapered off end of what's it called, man? What's the word I'm looking for? The tapered off end of all this where Esau's had like basically been supplementing the economy, you know, furlough schemes and whatnot, stimulus checks, all these kinds of things, lowering the interest rate. So, you know, people have been able to get money way easier. These things are now at their end, and it's basically going now to where people are feeling, you know, the grind of having to now pay all that back. You had in the UK, they set what was it? I think it was student loan repayments. They changed immediately to where now you're paying off more, a little bit more earlier, and then come April is when the tax increase will come next April, 2022 April. And now you got what, interest rates going up because inflation has been doing a madness. So boy, it's gonna be peak. All those people that kind of, you know, got loans, got credit cards, got whatever to survive, or while still just like, okay, yeah, they can do their thing, they're gonna be feeling it. Same for houses, all these things where there's people where because of like the lockdowns, house prices went down. There's people now that would have bought one and might have been able to afford it before, but then now, you know, then repayments are going to start to hurt a little more. And this is just a start. Because it says what the Bank of England has raised the key UK interest rates from an historic low of 0.1% to 0.25% for the first time since the outbreak of the sea pandemic in an effort to combat raging inflation. Yeah. I think they said they're going to bring it back up to like 1% over time. over time. And like as it gets back towards that level, then boy, people are going to be feeling it. It's going to get peak. Says a monetary policy committee voted 8-1 to take the action following the latest pressure from the IMF, which had previously discouraged the regulator from delaying the move any further. Rates were slashed to an all-time low in March 2021 in a bid to offset the effects of the rapid spread of C-19 and pandemic-related lockdowns. Yeah, because I think they dropped it even before then, because he said 2021. I'm sure they dropped it in actually maybe they did, I can't remember, because some funky shit happened in 2021, because in 2020 March when it all first kicked off, because like markets dipped for a bit and then they just started fucking skyrocketing and going back to you know, the same usual shit, which shows you how, you know, this whole thing is a game. It's all being played with. It says in November, inflation in the UK surged to 5.1%, reaching its highest level in more than a decade, with consumer prices soaring. Yeah, I think in the US it hit the highest since a while back. Might even be on here actually. Nah. But in the US as well, it's like inflation is hitting mad levels. Everyone's feeling it. And the main things is what energy, you know, like gas, electricity, things, whatever, you know, to keep you through the winter. And food, them things are going up. Amenities, reaches high level. Okay. With consumer prices soaring, according to Wednesday's report by the Office for National Statistics. The latest rate hike came despite mounting concerns that the Omicron strain of the sea could further slow the country's economy by forcing people to spend less. Yeah. And it's, off the back of that, that's why a lot of things are happening. Because, hey, it's the funny thing is this is kind of being pushed through, and it's no one's really paying attention because everyone's like, oh, everything Omicron related in the news, that's all people are seeing. But that's why it's like, I remember I mentioned to people like, oh, about interest rate, about the tax rate going up in April and having to pay more on student loan and blah blah blah. And they were just like, oh, really? Because people don't pay attention to those things. All they're looking at is, oh, like Omicron is about to choke slam and suplex, the UK and back into another, and like hundreds of thousands are going to be getting suplexed into graves if if you don't get your boosters. That's all that people are hearing or seeing. They're not seeing like, fundament, like the foundation of your economy is looking shaky as hell. How this whole system runs, how it's perpetuated itself. That whole joke of a system, this monetary system, is creaking, you know, cracking at the seams. Global asset prices initially dropped in response to the news of the new C variant, but have since largely recovered, according to the regulator. Consumer price inflation in advanced economies has risen by more than expected. The Omicron variant poses downside risks to activity in early 2022, although the balance of its effects on demand and supply and hence on medium-term global inflationary pressures is unclear. Global cost pressures have remained strong. The rate hike will reportedly add slightly over £15 to a monthly repayment for a tracker mortgage customer, while standard variable rate mortgage holders are likely to pay nearly £10 extra per month. Yeah. So, they're saying, oh, it's light, it's barely anything. But, it's a process. And that's how these things are, because it's the same thing with the inflation. You saw, it's like as soon as all that money got printed, and they said, okay, trillions upon trillions of just like payouts going to people, you're just like, God, you're like, yo, for sure, the inflation's coming. Then it was held up, mainly because a lot of guys are making money off like stock market and whatnot. But then when that got more shaky, a lot less people were in it. Crypto as well is another thing. Hella people were in. But as that money comes out, it's all that impact's being felt. To where it's like, yo. And people not wanting to work as well. It's funny as hell, bro. It's like all these different factors combining to let you know, yo, this is a different scenario. This is a different circumstance. Like how this is all playing out. And that's the thing. It's like with 2008, the financial crash. Those people that saw it, those people that looked at the signs, and that's the same thing with now. You had people calling for certain things, and people have been fanning a hand. But, just like with these energy companies where they just tanked, and then all of a sudden people are paying way more for energy. It's it's not mystery. Proverbs 11:1: a false balance is abomination to the Lord Yahweh, but just weight is his delight. Yeah, all Esau's monetary system, this whole debt-based system, this whole what do you call it, fractional reserve banking, all these various terms and systems Esau creates and is basically just obfuscating, hiding, like pulling the wool over people's eyes so they can't clearly see what he's doing. And then when you basically look at this guy's system, it's something that is built clearly for the interests of those at the top, those who are able to, who are have already have themselves set up, or they can, what you call it, that basically on the way to being so. Not even that, they've got themselves set up, or they've basically already got the reins of control of this monetary system. Man. Uh, well, okay, yeah. So Matthew 24:37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then two shall be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. And two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Yeah. All this, the means by which a society is surviving, these things are all going to come to a sudden and abrupt end. And that's what you've been seeing. This was like all the way the system was run, the faith people had it, oh, everything's just going to continue as it is, ain't going to change. That's been thrown in the bin. And it's like over time, as all these things have changed, people have adjusted, but then they're just trying to pretend like, oh yeah, it's all going to go back to normal. Meanwhile, normal is something that's like multiple years back in the not the windscreen, the thingy, man. Back in the mirror, man. You're looking back, you look up and you see, yeah, years back. That's what so-called normal went to die. It says what, two women shall be grinding at the mill. All these different systems are going to come to that point where they're going to stop. Because why? It's going to be a variety of factors. A big part of that is a lot of people going to be put to an end, man. This whole system as well, and the monetary system. This current system is basically going to be suspended, and then you're going to have the mark coming, man. Mark system. So watch therefore, verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. What's it? Right. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Yeah. Says what? The grinders cease because they are few, and look at our windows because they be darkened. Yeah, the grinders are going to cease. It's going to come to that point where all the people trying to pretend, can keep that presentation up of nothing's changed, everything's continuing as it is. That's going to go out the window. Because that's why it's like now people can update the story. They can still go to to Franco Manca, they can go to some spot by the river, to sit down and have a 2 hour meal with drinks and catch up with friends, and enjoy and pursue all the vanities of life, at their to their heart's desire. But once these things start being forgotten about, then it's a myth, and that's what happened during the lockdown. People were losing their mind, man, going stir crazy. But what it's gonna be a thing where all this so-called monetary system, all these means by which people think everything's going to continue, it's going to come to an end. And that's why the system's being pushed to such an extreme, where there's such a horrendous, like, managers passed in like 1.5, 1.7 trillion. It's like, bruv, the US debt going up by a trillion, that was a multi-year process at one point. And then, like, since lockdown started, it's gone up exponentially, like trillions in the space of a year. Because why these different bills being passed, these things being pushed out. This system is part of the whore, man. And that whore's being rinsed, man. That whore's being rolled out for, milked for all that she's got left. And then what? Gonna be done away with. And that's how everyone's gonna feel the burn. All the investment in the system is gonna be to their peril, man. Gonna be to their downfall. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yeah, Shalom.